What did the weird kid in your school do that you'll never forget? He regularly threw chairs around the classroom, and one time he even held a pair of scissors to a teacher's throat. That was in primary school. He was seriously troubled, but seems okay now. In 4th grade, a girl ate a whole mechanical pencil next to me. She also regularly ate whole sheets of paper and erasers. The pencil really sticks out in my mind though. A new lad in my primary school pretended his real voice was a deep Scottish accent. At some point he found a piece of broken glass and used it to cut my friend with for some reason, and then we never saw him again. Edit. Just for clarification, the person he cut was a girl and she came back to school after going to the hospital. Weird kid was never seen again. College. Dude went to Wales for a weekend and came back with an accent, saying that was his real voice. Nice guy, but troubled. Was in the band during some downtime. Some guy kicks off his shoes and socks and bites the ends of his toenails off. Most of the class casually migrated towards the other side of the room. I'm from a small town. There was this weird kid who was a year older, but he was so weird that even the younger kids would pick on him. I didn't really know him, but I put him in the weird but harmless category. He graduates and then decides to rob the local taco time with a shotgun. Well, it is a small town. The kids working at the taco time all know him, and pretty much everybody in the taco time also knows him. He got 2 years. 7th grade. Guy didn't have a pen/pencil for the test and the teacher wouldn't give him one. You need to be prepared. Blah. Yeah. The dude took out a paper clip, straightened it out, stabbed himself, and started doing the test using his blood as ink. He was quickly sent to the nurse's office. Sacrifice vital fluids to assert dominance. A very malicious compliance. Robbed a gas station dressed as a ninja, armed with a katana. Stole cash from the register, all the cigarettes he could carry, and a bunch of lottery tickets. He then fled across state lines with a 17-year-old girl. He was 19. Not a great result for him. I was expecting the twist that one of the lottery tickets was a winner, and he got caught because he tried to redeem the prize. She barked at people and tried to scratch behind her ears with her foot. AMD sniffed people's butts at recess. She was 14. Ended up in a mental institution because his parents bought him a new mattress, and while removing the old one they found multiple mason jars full of blood. No exaggeration, 2 gallons total. There was a police investigation and turned out it was all his blood. His only answer as to why was just in case. Was that Lance Armstrong building his stockpile for his tour wins? This girl decided she wanted to be pregnant. She proceeded to ask probably half the people in our high school if they would impregnate her, and then when that didn't work she brought a Ziploc bag and asked 4 guys to jizz in it. Everyone called her sperm bank after that, and I honestly can't remember her real name. My parents never really believed me when I'd tell them how insane and prison-esque my speepty rural high school was. When I'd tell them about it, IDK if they went to a better one or expected it to be like TV or what. But this sounds like a conversation I'd have with them. There's a girl at school everyone calls sperm bank. Oh my god. That's terrible. Why? Because she had peep with someone or someone started rumors about her being promiscuous or something? Kids can be so horrible. No. She decided she wanted to be pregnant, so she brought a Ziploc bag to school and asked random guys if they'd ejaculate in it for her. Ate a sheep eye we were supposed to dissect in science class. Man oh man. Aren't those things full of inedible, probably toxic preservatives? Dage but he lived hard, tell the tale. Ate styrofoam and then visibly lied about / denied it when someone pointed it out. Bits of styrofoam came out of his mouth. I had someone similar eat glue sticks in my first school. In high school I was talking to this girl and she'd been eating this cheese bread. When she finished it, she proceeded to eat the napkin the cheese bread had been wrapped in. Why? because it tasted like the cheese bread. I was freaked out and walked away. She proceeded to eat the napkin the cheese bread had been wrapped in. Yeah, that's weird, but kids. In high school. Oh. Could vomit on demand. Who was demanding this? Apparently he put a teaspoon up his ass in assembly. Amateur. Cut his own hair while in class. Mentioned that he would conquer the world with a revolver. Ended up setting fire to his house and was sent to a mental asylum. Pretty mild stuff. There was this huge guy, tall and wide, in our classes. To support his impressive body, he ate a lot. He'd bring an entire roll of cookies, like 20, and stack them on one side of his desk. Then he would take one bite out of cookie number 1 and put it to the other side of his desk. Then he would take one bite out of the next cookie and place that one on top on cookie number 1. He'd go through the whole stack until all cookies were partially eaten and in a neat stack on the other side of his desk. Then would do it again. Take one bite of the top cookie in place that in the original side of the desk. Bite the next cookie, etc. After maybe 15 minutes of biting and stacking, the whole lot was gone. Now we weren't even supposed to eat in class, but he always got away with it somehow. If I was a teacher and saw that, I too would not mess with him. As a high schooler, I think everyone, just out of respect, would have left him be. We had a kid in our school who sucked his thumb all through high school. No one ever said anything, teachers included, because he was 6 feet 10, 325 pounds. In 10th grade, the dude broke the bench press record that was set 10 years earlier by an extra 60 pounds his first year of high school. He maximumed 370 in bench and deadlifted 600 pounds by the time he graduated. He was at a party one year and someone slapped his GF's ass. He nonchalantly said a slap for a slap. Then backhanded the kid in the face so hard he had to have his jaw wired shut. It was flipping insane. Also had an enormous giant in our high school that set all sorts of powerlifting records. I remember our senior year, I had to take an elective and there wasn't really anything for me to take. So I took some random bull's peep gym class, which ended up apparently being a freshman intro gym class. The weight room instructor wanted him to show a demo and I just remember the deadlift bar resembling a rainbow when he lifted it, with a peep ton of plates drooping towards the ground and rattling. He was this redneck ass dude that was probably 6 feet 5 or 6 feet 6 and closer to 400. Pretty fat obviously, but just an enormous dude with an insane amount of strength. We went to middle school together too, and he was pretty peeping big by 5th grade already. It was hilarious seeing him walking down the hall absolutely dwarfing everyone. Last I heard, he followed in his mama's footsteps and became a nurse. 3. Ran around the hallways making pterodactyl noises with his arms raised up behind him like he was swimming butterfly. I'm so glad other schools had kids making pterodactyl noises. The collective school experience doesn't disappoint. One time some kid smeared speep on the walls in the restroom, but no one ever found out who did it. This happened at my school too. My brother worked at a grocery store in high school, and one of his coworkers was always mean to everyone. One day it was the mean coworker's turn to clean bathrooms and a customer asked my brother for directions to the bathroom. My brother told him where it was, and jokingly asked him to mess it up a little. A few minutes later he saw the guy coming out with a huge grin on his face. Not long after, the coworker went in and immediately came back out dry heaving and cursing. My brother went to see what the deal was, and saw that the customer had literally smeared speep all over the entire bathroom, including a polite hello with a smiley face on the wall. I'm betting he was one of the weirder kids at school. I guess you could say he had a speep eating grin. We were getting DNA samples in biology. Most of the class used spit, but he tried to squeeze milk out of his nipples. Milk. After that didn't work out, he attempted to get pimple fluid from his pimple. When the teacher noticed and questioned, he answered, "I got some out just this morning." This was when we were 14 to 15. The weird kid in our school was part of our friend group, so 15 years later we still give him speep about it. During assembly one afternoon, a few weeks from ball or prom, he went up on stage while our entire year was filing into the auditorium and taking our seats. He was part of the A/V club surprise, so his responsibility was making sure the microphones worked so nobody questioned why he was up there tinkering with the mic. Anyway, 90% of our year has come in at this point when he starts singing Jumper by Third Eye Blind over a karaoke version of the song he found on LimeWire, and he's changed the "my friend" part of the chorus to the name of the girl he wants to ask out to prom. He gets about halfway through the song before one of the teachers realizes it isn't a joke and gets up on stage to drag him out. Everyone is just sitting there going WTF. Half the kids don't know the song and the other half is wondering why he chose it to ask someone out. Turns out the girl he was asking wasn't even in the auditorium yet, so didn't hear his little number. He got detention for a week for being disruptive, but since then we just call him Jumper as a joke, but then it stuck, and I don't think anyone in our friend group has used his name since then. Even during his wedding you could tell who he went to school with, since they'd ask where Jumper or Big J was. Humped my desk for a solid minute while maintaining eye contact with me, and then said, "Thanks," and just walked away. I'm a guy. This was 15 years ago, on my first day at this new school, and I was just eating lunch at my desk, and this dude just walked up and went to town. No context, no introduction, nothing. Didn't even buy me dinner first. Just wham, bam, thank you desk. My brother is a high school teacher and he once texted me that he caught a kid cutting his pubic hair in class. Another kid not even from his class randomly ran into the classroom, took some binders out of a bookcase, and started jumping up and down on them. Then he ran out of the classroom again. What the hell does your brother even do in those situations? Especially the first. Well, in that case he just kindly asked the kid if he could please stop doing that. He was so shocked that he couldn't even get mad, I guess. We still laugh about it whenever it's mentioned. Like, WTF is going through your mind? Hey, let me just cut my pubic hair in the middle of class real quick. He even put the cut off ends on his table, as if it was the most normal thing in the world. Hissed at people in the halls, and then bit someone. Why is there always a hisser? Got the snake genes. Hope he wasn't the venomous kind. Edit. Fixed it. Sorry, I'm not a native speaker. He would get almost fully naked to pee in the urinal. Was his name Butters? Back quote. Nope, but he legit peed like Butters did. Pants all the way down, and shirt all the way up under his chin. This was age 17 to 18 BTW. He was trying to show off at that point. Dressed like the Queen of England, hair, shoes, and everything from elementary to middle. Then dressed like a doll for a year. Tried to hook up with everyone. Got kicked off stage at a talent show for doing a burlesque routine. Would work her people prowess into every oral report. And her last year she came to school 2 times in just a mini skirt and bra. I didn't know her personally at all, but I've kind of suspected she might have been peoply abused or something. Edit. Elizabeth II. Yeah, that screams abuse. I hope she's doing better now. Absolutely. Someone should have called CPS about that. It checks every box educators in the UK at least are trained to look out for in terms of people abuse. I hope she's okay. He stabbed me with a 2 pencil in my collarbone area. I went to the hospital, but they said I was fine. My stepdad said I would do anything to get out of school. F***ed both of those guys. So, there was a guy at our school when I was a freshman that everyone called Wolfman, who was weird in all the bad ways. He claimed to have superpowers, teleportation, DBZ like energy creation and whatnot. All the girls said he just stare at them if they had class with him. He hung around us freshmen and did his best to flirt with the girls. For an example of his flirting, he once told a girl that while astral projecting, he saw her face on Jupiter. Needless to say, girls stayed away from him. He graduated though, and his brother started at the school. Now, Wolfman wasn't a tall guy by any stretch of the imagination. maybe 5 feet at most. But his brother was a good foot shorter than him. He looked like he belonged in 3rd grade. He never got any taller. It didn't help that he always wore a child's Goosebumps jacket. That made people start calling him Goosebumps. He was even more convinced of his powers than his brother, but at least he was less peoply creepy. But that's all he had going for him. One memorable day I was in math class, and he started shaking violently. People ignored him, so he started flapping his arms around. Wondering if this was an actual seizure, the girl next to him put her hand on him and asked if he's okay. He growled back, "Take your hand off me. This power is too much to contain." She started yelling at him for faking a seizure, and he went back to normal death stare forward, grumbling about his powers. Makes you wonder about their home life. Maybe their parents emotionally abandoned them or something, and all they had were their imaginations and comics books and movies. Yep, my first thought when I read this post. One weird kid can be an outlier. 2 kids with similar delusions and constantly seeking attention from peers. Seems like domestic abuse. A few days before a pep assembly, anonymously posted signs all over school that said that PEP is coming. Teachers and school administrators were obviously concerned but clueless. Smuggled a live rooster into the assembly, and partway through the opening speech at the assembly, whipped it out over his head as it went appeaspeep. Entire gym full of kids stood up and started chanting "Peep, peep, peep." Was not seen at school for a few days after that. Shoulda stuck gums under the tables. Beth. Our weird kid and his girlfriend made a list of people in the school they wanted to rape and kill. Speep got investigated real quick, but I don't know what actual punishment they got. Edit. For everyone asking. No, I was not killed, unfortunately. I also forgot to add that they put in detail exactly how they were going to kill everyone. Edit 2. I was speaking to my boyfriend about this, and he told me that he was actually there when this all kicked off. They were speaking about it in a math class, and him and his friends overheard it. They all started talking about it, and it got out to the teachers, so sorry for any misinformation in the comments. Actually, that happened in my school too, WTF. I was literally on this kid's list. Don't leave us hanging. Did he kill you? Can confirm. I'm not dead yet. Went to a large school. 3,000 students. If anyone said anything to the weird kid that he didn't like, he would stare at you and recite your name and address. A little creepy. Also a little impressive. Honestly. Feel like that power could be used for good. There was this really mentally peeped up kid I could probably write a book about. He went through a phase where he was obsessed with JFK, printed out pictures of him and taped them to everything. His binder, truck, locker, etc. IDK what happened, but later that year all those pictures changed to pictures of Hitler. He referred to this as the time that the devil overtook him with evil. He did this same speep with William Shatner and a teacher at our school, but the bizarre satanic Hitler obsession takes the cake. He was also banned from the computers because the library lady caught him jerking it to Peep. I have to give him props for being able to watch Peep on a school computer. All I could do was search the depths of Google for a Flash games site that wasn't blocked. Oh, you were a great companion. We had found out at my school you could get into any site by changing the HTTP to HTTPS. It wasn't hard and everyone knew how to do it, but would usually use it to get onto YouTube. It's good you couldn't figure your schools out, or you could have been the weird kid caught watching Peep. Pulled down his pants in the middle of a public bathroom and span in a circle while spraying piss everywhere and shouting around the world. What a daft little punk. Emptied a year's worth of accumulated speep in his locker on the last day. Bell rings. Playground doors open. Weird kid walks directly to the center and screams for a full minute. I thought it was weird then, but now I can relate. He was ahead of his time. 20-year-old in a child's body. I'm so peeping sick of this reincarnation bullspeep. He had a book where he would write in people that wronged him. I got put in for smelling like soap. Was this man very short and very bearded, by any chance? Spread tuberculosis throughout our Virginia school senior year. Weird kid. Dan was obsessed with cute girl, Cassie, for several years. She rejected him for several years. On the bus to a field trip I sat next to him, and he was drawing. I glanced over, and he was drawing Cassie falling off a cliff onto a patch of spikes below. Years later in middle school he also got super mad and threw a desk across the room in English. Not a small desk either. One of those that's a desk/chair attached hybrid. Just peeping he yeeted it across the room. Was peeping terrified. There's a litany of things he did, but those stand out to me. Edit cause I saw another commenter mention something similar. He also jerked off under a desk in detention once. Jerking off in detention is a play. I'm already here. What are you gonna do, punish me? Joke's on you, I'm into that speep. Had a container of red Kool-Aid powder in his desk, and he would open it and eat it by the handful when he would get bored, usually an hour after lunch. The albino kid in school. He would take off running down the hallway with one hand straight out in front of him and yell, "White lightning." He was weird but everyone liked him. He got caught beating it to Lolly Peep in the library. Edited to clarify it wasn't me. Also, terrifyingly, this blew up. Our library didn't have Lolly Peep. Or any peep at all. Really? Poured his juice on the table at lunch and suction cupped his mouth over it and inhaled it all like a Hoover when you put it directly onto a hard floor. He's a lawyer now. He gave me a handful of blue pop rocks. He was actually really sweet. Was it as pure as the stuff in Breaking Bad? Sat on my lap to flirt with my best friend. Can you tell us your genders? Both female. She literally went to find me because he kept following her everywhere that day. One girl in my grade at high school, so 4 years from age 12 through 16, cut herself to fill a vial with her own blood and wore it around her neck. Also wore cat ears and a tail to school and would chase people around meowing and hissing and trying to scratch them. She was peeping fast too, especially when she'd climb upstairs on all fours. In hindsight, maybe some psychological issues at play, but she wasn't ever part of the special needs classes. Just a regular student like the rest of us, I guess. Edit. I didn't expect this to blow up, lol. I can't respond to all of you, but hopefully I can give you some of the answers you seek. 1. I have no idea what happened to this young lady after high school. Vanished without a trace. Did some googling and Facebook stalking tonight but no dice. 2. No, I won't dox myself revealing my hometown. The town in question wasn't very large, but judging by the amount of people in the comments, a lot of schools worldwide had a student like this. 3. Yes, she was seriously peeping fast. Like you better get your skates on, or she's gonna catch you fast. 4. Yes, I realize she very likely had an issue that was undiagnosed at the time. I hope she got the help she needed. 5. No, she was not hot. 6. Many people have mentioned they've heard this exact story on here before. Apologies if you have. I've been a Reddit user for like 3 weeks, so IDK what's new and what's old. I think we went to school together, or this has happened at least twice in the world. Are you Australian? During my 6th grade graduation, our class sang a song. Weird kid is standing next to me on stage and suddenly projectile vomits and some of it landed on my shoes. Impressively, he still kept singing while I stood there wide-mouthed in horror and disbelief. I'll never forget all the gasps from the crowd. The show must go on. Inside my heart is breaking. Sold a school chroma book for Robux. 400 Robux for an investment of 0. Starks. Profit of 5. Moaned during the exam. I remember once in high school we were on a school camp which included some low-level spelunking. About 60 of us had to squeeze single file on our hands and knees through a narrow part of the cave which was about 100 meters long. There was a small section about halfway along which opened up a bit to allow 2 people to sit shoulder to shoulder. Anyway, weird kid got to this section and decided he really needed to poop. Not sure what he had been eating, but it was a runny one. He was at the front of the column, so we all had the pleasure of crawling through the mess he made, because we'd come too far to turn back. Combine that with poor lighting and poor ventilation, and we had a real mess on our hands.